Melissa is still a major hurricane after making that initial landfall as a Category 5 in Jamaica. Now it's moving over eastern Cuba. Still is a Category 3 storm surge threat there, plus that risk of some serious flash flooding just due to a tremendous amount of rainfall coming down with this storm system. But winds right now estimated about 115 miles per hour, pressure at 960 millibars. That's also supported by ground observation sites there in eastern areas of Cuba. In fact, this is passing just towards the west of that American base, Gitmo out there, in the right front quadrant, as well as Santiago de Cuba, currently in that right front quadrant of this storm system. So yes, it has weakened a bit since 24 hours ago, but by no means is this weak. It's just no longer this historic monstrosity we've seen out here. It's expected to move towards the north and east, passing over the Bahamas as we go ahead through this evening, and then eventually off towards the north, where Bermuda actually could be impacted by a Category 1 storm system. So this is going to be impacting multiple countries here as it continues to roll across the Atlantic. But let's talk about, just 24 hours ago when this did make that landfall here in western Jamaica. It was historic. Pressure actually at landfall down to 892 millibars. That matches it with the Labor Day hurricane, or winds about 185 miles per hour. Labor Day hurricane being the strongest storm at landfall on record. On top of that, the infrastructure here, there's little infrastructure anywhere that can withstand it, but here in Jamaica, it is going to be weeks, if not months, for some of these areas to fully recover. And this is going to be an ongoing story. Not to mention, after this did make landfall, and even as it moves away, a lot of those higher elevated areas did get rained on, feet of rain in spots. And this is all still got to drain out. So the flood threat, even when the blue skies come in, is still going to be there across Jamaica, just due to the ongoing draining of the mountains. And we've already seen this across parts of Hispaniola, where deaths have actually occurred due to the storm even before it made landfall in Jamaica due to that flood threat. So that's another issue with this that we have to continue to follow. It's not over when it's over, sadly. Is moving off towards northeast. We still have hurricane warnings in place for Jamaica, the Bahamas, eastern areas, Bahamas, and western Turks and Caicos are also under that threat of about a Cat 2. And a storm surge could be a little bit higher in the Bahamas, even though it's a weaker storm. And that is because it's just much more low-lying. You don't really have mountains to deal with out here. You have a much more shallow coastal area, and that can thrust up some of the water and cause the threat of flooding, especially there in Clarence Town. There's going to be that risk there, as well as Matthew Town, a little bit further towards the east, but you still have that flow kind of wrapping around from the south on it. And then you see here what our wind field, by the time we go ahead into Wednesday night, overnight into Thursday morning, we're finally going to start to see that improvement on the backside of this, where overall it starts to move on. But then we change our attention to Bermuda by Thursday and the Friday, as that's going to be passing by them here. And you can see here by Thursday midday, and then we go to Thursday evening, it passes just towards the west of Bermuda. Hopefully you don't get directly hit. Remember, they had those back-to-back hurricanes about a month ago out here. So this would be yet another near landfall for that island. I know they get hit a lot, but my goodness. Anyways, so let's talk about the forecast here. As this pulls away towards the north, it's actually going to drag in some much cooler and drier air on the backside of it. So people along the east coast of the United States here have been asking, is this going to impact us? And in a roundabout way, yes. Meaning that as this moves off towards the north and east, what we're going to see is a drag in this cool Canadian air behind it. And we're going to be looking at temperatures drop along the southeast, including into Jacksonville, much of Florida, to some of the coldest levels yet here in the autumnal season. Temperatures dropping down into the lower 40s, maybe high 30s for some inland areas, especially there in the southeastern areas of Georgia. So keep that in mind too. It's kind of a side effect from this very serious and dangerous storm system further towards the east. But the result for the first coast is that temperatures are going to be falling. But for now, it's still a potent storm system. That's a little bit of a side effect. I just want to mention it. But we're going to continue to monitor this because this is still ongoing for eastern Cuba and the Bahamas. And of course, the recovery going on out here in Jamaica is going to be It's going to be time. There's going to be an extended period of time. So I'm meteorologist Robert Spett. I always try my best to make these videos not hype, educational at the very least, so you can learn a little bit, even if you're not being impacted. You can kind of learn and know what drives these storms, why they're so impactful. And yeah, if you have any questions, comment on it. Or you can follow us as well, firstcoastnews.com/Hurricane Central. A lot of the graphics I use here can be found there as well. As always, thanks for watching.